Swords are cool. That's why historical European martial arts focuses so heavily on them. And to be fair, the masters who wrote the treatises that make up what we consider historical European martial arts also thought swords were pretty cool and dedicated most of their work to swords. When someone joins HEMA, they typically start off learning longsword and stick to that forever. However, in the late medieval period, if you were training to be a fighter, the first martial art they would teach you is how to wrestle. The first weapon they teach you how to use is the dagger, specifically the Rondel Dagger. The fighting style of the Rondel Dagger is based off of its function. It's a thrusting weapon, and it's extremely good at it. The earliest fighting treatise that we have for the dagger comes from Fiori de Liberi, which was written down in the early 1400s. He doesn't teach us any slashes or cuts with the dagger because they're pretty awful at it. They have a triangular shape to the blade, which aids with their thrusting, their ability to punch through certain types of armor and clothing, but that wedge design makes it really bad at cutting. So the focus is primarily on thrusting. This dagger that I'm using is the same model that was used in a test done by Matt Easton and Todd Cutler, and you can see how disgusting its thrusting ability is. With that in mind, dagger fighting tends to be very aggressive. It's very physical, and at close range, daggers move very fast. Dagger fights tend to be very messy, extremely hard to judge, but I'm going to do my best in this short video to show some ways you can approach this. To simplify Fiori's dagger fighting style for you, and try to help you fight competently and cleanly, or at least understand better how dagger fighting should work. At least in my opinion. Okay, first off, the way you hold your dagger matters. It determines a lot of your offensive options. The two major grips of the dagger in modern terms, the hammer grip, which is a forward grip, and the ice pick grip, or reverse grip, where the blade is held downwards. Daggers and knives can be caught, even if they have blades. One of the weaknesses of the Rondel Dagger is that being straight-bladed and rather long, it's pretty easy to catch. So if you hold it forward, you take that risk. Once your dagger gets caught, you have very little time to respond and defend yourself. To remedy this, Fiori gives us 5 stances called postas or guards, which are positions of strength which are ideal for defending ourselves or launching attacks depending on the situation. 2 of his guards actually don't involve the dagger at all. The full iron gate doubled and crossed, and the full iron gate doubled. In fact, most of Fiori's work actually focuses on fighting against the dagger without any weapon of your own. But this is very important. For example, if your dagger gets caught, holding onto it can be a disadvantage, so letting it go and defending yourself without the dagger in your hand might be more useful. While this is very difficult, trying to defend yourself with one hand while holding onto your dagger is almost impossible. Now, Fiori gives us only 5 guards for this fighting system. But technically there's a 6th guard. That is the boar's tooth guard, which is meant to actually fight against swords. Fiori doesn't give us any techniques or advice on how to use this position against other daggers, and there's a pretty good reason for that. This position is great for attacking, it's great if you want to take quick shots at people, and you can apply a lot of offensive pressure with it. But in this position, your left arm is all the way behind you. If your attack fails or your opponent counters your attack and aggresses in on you, it can be very difficult to defend yourself with anything else other than GTFO. The 2 that you really want to focus on is full iron gate single and middle iron gate doubled. And the main philosophy of these 2 guards is that your left hand is forward and your dagger hand is back more. In these positions, your left hand does the defending and your right hand stands ready to attack. In this middle iron gate double position, where basically your hand is on the blade and on the hilt, you can use the dagger sort of like a bar to defend yourself, which works very well for someone who's using very quick thrusts. Much like in the unarmed version of this guard, using powerful upwards and downwards blocks like this can help you stagger the offense of somebody who's very aggressive with thrusting. In this position, our dagger is held in what is now modernly called the hammer grip, where the blade is essentially considered forward. The advantage of throwing a thrust with hammer grip is that it maximizes your reach. You're able to extend your arm to its fullest potential. And by doing so, your arm is aligned with your blade. This allows you to sort of use your dagger like a rapier or a side sword. This thrust from the right hip is extremely hard to stop at close range. You pretty much have to rush in and grapple the dagger hand to stop it. It's extremely strong and accurate. It can hit pretty much any target down the center line, and the angle is good for hitting up at arms that are extended too far out. This is one of my most successful attacks. Catch your opponent's wrist and simultaneously thrust. The weakness of this attack is that at full extension, it's pretty easy to swat away or knock down. In fact, swatting away the blade is a technique found in rapier and smallsword treatises. You can do multiple thrusts down the center line, although thrusts from different angles can be a little tricky. Thrusts from underneath are fairly strong, but thrusts from overhead are extremely weak. On the other hand, you have Ice Pick Grip, or Reverse Grip. Attacks from Ice Pick Grip allow you to use a lot of strength in your thrusts. Though most attacks have shorter range than using Hammer Grip, you can redirect your attack at different angles without even moving most of your arm. When throwing an overhand thrust, or a fendente, if your opponent does not block perfectly, because of the length of the Rondel Dagger, you can still manage to stab them even if they successfully block. While this grip is very strong, most of Fiori's work actually focuses on countering it. Baiting an opponent to use this move is a great way to get a clean counter and hit if you can time it right. Another of Fiori's guards is called the Middle Iron Gate Doubled and Crossed. That's when you're holding the dagger in Ice Pick Grip, but you have your left hand on the blade. By his own admission, Fiori says this is not a good guard to use without armor. It's really easy to get hit in the hands with this guard, but it does have its uses. You may find yourself transitioning through this guard when trying to switch your grip in order to gain a different advantage or to confuse your opponent, so it is useful to learn how to fight from this position in case you're attacked while your hands are crossed like this. The main philosophy that should be adhered to if you want to have clean and safe exchanges with dagger is to always make sure to address your opponent's dagger with every exchange. While attacking, you should always be defending and vice versa. Both hands should be moving at the same time. When being overly aggressive and careless with your attacks, you'll probably find yourself walking right into your enemy's dagger. And if your opponent isn't focused on defense, you're both likely going to hit each other at the same time, which is the worst kind of exchange. Daggers are very fast and hard to deal with. The slightest mistake with defending, and you might accidentally end up hitting the tip of the dagger. When all else fails, I think Fiori's 4 virtues are extremely important for dagger fighting. Distance, timing, and predicting your opponent's moves are extremely important. Reading your opponent, knowing when to be aggressive and when not to be. Being ready to grapple and defend yourself with strength. And speed and quickness are extremely important. To be able to sink your feet into the ground, and you also have to be able to move. I hope you possibly walk away with this with a new appreciation for this. I love daggers. I hope to see more of it in the future. Perhaps I'll do a video of just me fighting unarmed against people with daggers. I think that'd be amusing. I'm sure a lot of people would love to take part in that. But either way, let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys next time.
Does he stabbing me?
No.
Ah.
No.
His blade.